All right, so this is Penny, and she is an older mare that is fairly new to our farm. She had been broke before as a young horse, but then she sat for, I don't know, 10 years. So she kind of didn't have a ton of handling, and now she's caused more injuries than any other horse probably in the last year because she is so anxious and fearful, and she just doesn't really pay attention to humans. She only really pays attention to horses. So today I'm just trying to do a couple of things. My first goal is to brush her out really good. She had a bit of a upset stomach after some hay, and she kind of seems to be, I don't know, somewhat sensitive to changes in hay. So she has some dirty legs that I wanted to brush out. And then she had a wind knot in her mane, but she hates being in the barn. As you can see, she's super antsy and kind of pushy, and just does not want anything to do with being in the barn. So it was making it kind of difficult to brush her out. So again, my main goal, brush her, but my secondary goal always with her is to just like gentle her so she's easier to handle for people in the barn. We have a couple of like worker girls that really want to work with her, but I'm just too scared to let them work with her because she's so, unpredictable, I guess. So yeah, even myself, like if you could hear my heart beating, like whenever I'm handling her, I'm just a little nervous because she does not care at all where you are. And she really is kind of a sweet horse. Like she's not doing anything with ill intent. Like she's never trying to hurt the person she's with, but her anxiety ends up hurting them. So yeah, I was even scared to pick up the stick. Ugh. So anyway, I got a fair amount of brushing done in there, but then I was like thinking I would like to engage like the thinking side of her brain. I was listening to a really good podcast by a guy named Phil Haugen. And definitely look him up. It's called Be Your Best Horsemanship. And I listened to him on Spotify. So he talked about engaging the thinking side of the brain versus the reactive side. So this really like lit a light bulb for me thinking about that. And up until this point, she was only reacting. She was not thinking at all. So I thought, okay, I really need to try to get her using the other side of her brain and flip that switch. So I just wanted to move her feet a little bit. We've done this exercise with her before because she tends to rush through doorways. And so sending her in and out many times seems to kind of gentle her a little bit, but she was struggling a little bit when I was on her right side. I don't know if it was just because she was looking at the other horses or what. So it took a little bit extra to get her to go in. And again, she tries to just like plow through when she's scared because she just doesn't understand or I think she doesn't understand how fragile we are as humans, and she just thinks she can treat us like horses. So this is a good little exercise my dad does a lot, and I think it really does help to get him paying attention and stuff like that. She's working really good, not exceptional, but she's working better on the left side. So I went back to the left side to see if she was stuck some other way, but she was fine. I was trying to take it really slow. You can't tell in the video, but the amount of muscle I need to use to just keep her where I need her to be is crazy. Like my arms were so tired. I was already getting sweaty by this point. And I had only been working with her for like 10 minutes because it just takes so much muscle. She just doesn't have that like pressure and release understanding. And another thing that Phil Haugen said in this podcast was that you build trust with the release of pressure. So if you're new to horsemanship, pressure and release is basically the key to all horsemanship. And when you ask a horse to do something, you apply pressure. And when you release that pressure in a consistent way, it not only teaches the horse what you're looking for, but it also teaches them that they can trust you because you're speaking their language. They speak to each other with pressure and release. And that can be mental pressure, physical pressure, it can be aggressive pressure, it can be really soft implied pressure. But if you start to speak their language, they start to trust you and say, okay, I understand, you're going to consistently speak my language, so I can trust you a little bit more. I went in the stall to see, okay, she's not afraid of the stall, she's just afraid of being sent into the right. So after I did that, she seemed a little bit more forward, which was good. And then she tried to turn the wrong way, so I had to pull really hard to get her to turn the correct way, and that was a win. My next step with her was just some leading practice. So I was just leading her up and down the aisle. Again, she's like super, super pushy. She was just not handled a lot for many years, and she's not doing it to be naughty at all. Like, she has no naughtiness in her at all. She just kind of gets, I don't know. I think I would say like she's trying to predict what you're asking because she doesn't want to screw up, but then she ends up just blowing through anything you're asking. So kind of a little counterproductive, but I was mainly just wanting her to like respect the pressure of the halter. So I was just backing her up, turning her to the right, backing her up, turning her to the right, just to try to keep her from getting ahead of me. I was, again, really hot, so I had to take my coat off. When you're leading horses, you can turn to the left or to the right. When you turn to the left, since we most of the time lead on the left side of a horse, turning to the left brings them toward us, and turning to the right brings them away from us. Turning to the right is a lot harder because the horse has to kind of yield to you. You have to get around the horse. And so that was the trickiest part because she just kept wanting to like blow past me. She pulled through my hand to grab the hay, so I had to take a break and clean it up, and that way she wouldn't slip on it. So once she started doing this pretty good, I thought we'd go out to the round pen and move her feet a little bit out there just to be able to get that thinking side of her brain working a little bit better. So my goal here when I was in the round pen, I wanted to be able to have her choose to run away from me. But if she did, then it would be maybe a little bit more work. And if she chose to stand right by me, then she could rest and get brushed. The geldings were super curious, and I was so nervous bringing her through the geldings to come over here because they were all very interested in her. And she's a handful to lead, so I was super nervous. I needed a minute to decompress here after getting through there, and we got to the arena or to the round pen, and I just wanted to watch her a little bit and see how her focus was. She would come into me like she just did there a minute ago, and she would come in super soft and gentle and then immediately lose focus and run off. So I decided if I have her focus, she's calm and gentle and easy to deal with. And if I lose her focus, she's dangerous. So my goal now was to just keep her focused. And it was a little intimidating just because she was so distracted. So we started out just really easy, and I just wanted to slowly move her feet and get her going. We had a little ice in the far side, so I didn't want to push her too hard, and she really doesn't need to be pushed that hard. She's not being super naughty. Like I said, she's just not focused. So I sent her around a few times, and then she started coming into me really nice. Sorry, I don't have better footage of the whole round pen, but sent her around. As you can see, she'll face up to me, give me both eyes, and she wants to come in and be with me, but then I could see a couple seconds she'd be looking at me, and then all of a sudden she'd be looking at the dirt bike or the other horses or the geldings or whatever noise is going on, the dog's barking, anything. Like, she maybe has a little ADD. But she started to consistently choose to join up with me and like be close to me. So I put the stick down and got the brush and started to get to work. And I started out on her like shoulder. She doesn't dislike being brushed or touched or anything. She loves to be brushed. She was just so anxious in the barn, like she didn't even notice I was brushing her. So now when we're out here and she has the opportunity to run away anytime, she does, like, maybe she doesn't feel trapped or something. Like she stood really nice. So I brushed her. Then all of a sudden she decided she wanted to run off again. So I was like, oh, okay, pick up the stick, center around a bit more. Tried to get that thinking side of her brain back because she started to just get more reactive to any distraction that was going on. When she would like give me both eyes and start to focus more on me, then I would invite her in to be by me. And she usually took that opportunity like right away. So then we got back to work, brushing some more. I normally would not recommend getting in this like dangerous kicking zone on a horse without a halter, but I like fully trust her that she would never intentionally hurt me. She's never done a single minor thing like that where it's like an intentional kick or anything like that. So I fully trusted to be behind her here, and she was so dirty, and I bet it was so uncomfortable, and I'm sure it felt really good to get all that crud off. Definitely glad I didn't wear chapstick that day, and I was like, oofta, it's a good thing I really love horses because it was nasty. So we got her all brushed. Finally, oh, I bet that felt so good for her. And the last little bit I wanted to do with grooming was to get the rest of the wind knot out of her mane. So that's all I had to do there. And she got some scratches and some loves. I cleaned up her eye. And here she kind of like walked away from me. So I lost her focus. And I thought, oh, I better try to get her thinking again. So I had to send her around a few more times. Basically, anytime she chose to leave my side, she was going to work. If she chose to stay by me, she was going to rest. My last goal for the day then was to work on her halter training a little bit and make sure she's getting gentler each time I work with her. So we did some more backing up, turning to the right. Then the trail riders were coming back into the yard, and she completely lost her focus again. So the reason I'm standing on this step was because I was honestly afraid she was going to plow me over. That's the only reason. I nothing fancy. I was just afraid. So I stood on the step, sent her back and forth, got her thinking a little bit. I started scratching on her withers. That's what horses do to each other. It has like a calming effect in the herd. Then we started leading again. Just like in the barn, the main problem was that she wanted to like walk past me, and she was wanting to face toward the barn at that point. I can't remember. I think the trail riders were standing over by the barn. And there were a couple other horses over off to the right there, her left. So anytime I would stop, she would want to go left. So I would try to get her to go right. We'd stop and back up. And every time I did it, it seemed like she was getting softer. Every now and then we'd have a little setback like that. But for the most part, like she was getting softer with the stop and the back. So right there, you just saw her like kind of hit me with her head. That's the most common thing she does. And again, I don't think she's doing it to be naughty, but it hurts when she hits you with her head. So we just kept working. I was calming down a lot by this point. So I was just making sure to take a breath and calm myself and focus and not try to rush the process. Here she was really getting pushy again. So I thought we needed to go back out to the rail and work a little bit more. My dad got back. I was super happy because he is always really helpful. So he kind of helped coach me a little bit. And she was ready to join up again, saying, okay, I'll be good. We tried to back up and she lost focus, so I sent her back out again. We tend to do a lot of like groundwork and join up stuff. And I think it really helps, even though it's like getting the horse to stay in your space, it really helps the horse respect your space. So there she did a really nice backup. And I thought, okay, we can put the halter back on and keep working on halter practice. By this point, she was getting really soft on the halter for the most part and only kind of pushing on me now and then. And we had a really nice stop where I like barely had to do any pressure. A really nice back up with really little pressure and a really nice turn with no resistance. So I called that a day.